Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Coming here, I was just wondering what the Panchatattva are doing in Southern California. It seems to be out of place. This is a place of great material enjoyment, all the way down to San Diego, and probably as soon as you cross the border, it's quite different. Of course, it's also in Mexico. Actually, they call it Southern California, but California continues, doesn't it? But they don't consider that. In Mexico also, it's there. So, anyway, the mood of material enjoyment is very strong here. Whereas Mahaprabhu's teaching, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, Vairagya. From Vairagya, or rather, Vairagya and Vidya, they are the two concomitant factors in the Bhakti Yoga to himself that Caitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching, but we don't find Vairagya or Vidya very prominent here. What do you think? Young lady, we are asking you, what's your name? Is your daughter, Abhay? Yeah. Kalyani. Very good name. So we don't find this spirit of renunciation of this material world and thirst for transcendental knowledge very prominent here. So the Panchatattva are everywhere, latently, but they've come here, so we'll have to conclude that at least here is not exactly Southern California, but Mayapur Dham, manifested by the will of the Lord. Here, Chandrasekhar Bhavan, the Lord is dancing with his associates at night at the house of Srivas Thakur, and performing dramas in the house of Chandrasekhar. So I thought of course this reminds me of, well, it should remind anyone of Mayapur Dham, because this is the eternal abode of the Panchatattva. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very much attached to Sri Mayapur Dham, had very great love for Mayapur Dham. And I'm also scheduled to be going there soon, so I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for that. To enter the Dham, it's not just a matter of booking your tickets and arranging your accommodation and all this kind of thing, but to enter the Dham, to actually enter the Dham, means to enter the mood of service. Dham is only meant for service. Dham is not meant for enjoyment. That's why Americans, or even Indians for that matter, can never enter the Dham. As long as one's thinking, I'm an American or I'm an Indian, or I'm an enjoyer of this material world, then we will see the Dham as part of the material world to be enjoyed. Just like in our recent BBT publication of Perfect Questions and Perfect Answers, they featured photos of Mayapur Dham, with saying the beautiful countryside of Mayapur, as if it's something to be compared with the Swiss Alps or something. You can enjoy you can go there and enjoy the beautiful countryside. But actually as long as we're thinking it's beautiful countryside it looks so nice, let me enjoy it, then we cannot understand the transcendental beauty of the Dham. Then if someone comes and dumps some garbage, then we'll think then it looks ugly and horrible, which it is, but the Dham is never affected by all these things. So anyway, this all these points, the Acaryas come to speak, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur revealed the truths of Gauravani, the speaking of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He composed this song. Later, his disciples, they altered the end of it, in which he marks himself as a servant of the previous Acaryas in typical self-effacing language of Vaishnavas. But and later his disciples, the various disciples, depending on which line they came in. Actually, there should only be one line. Ultimately, there's only one line. But there may be branches. So anyway, they spoke of him as Shri Varshabhanavibhara Sada Sevya Sevapara. He is always attached to the service of Shri Varshabhanavi Devi, Srimati Radharani, as that service is manifested in this world, though it is not of this world, it is manifested by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayana. He has summed this up. Anarpita chiring chirad karunyavatyana kalo samapiyatam unatajvala rasa swabhakti shriyam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna. He has come to teach the path of service to himself, which was never offered before. And the Vaishnava Acaryas, especially those from Madhavendra Puri onwards, they have revealed this within this world in consonance with the desire of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has revealed within this world the inner heart's desire of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when will he give me a place at his lotus feet? So this Sri Chaitanya Manobhishta, revealing the heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is the service of the Acaryas coming after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To reveal the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not the work of a neophyte devotee or even a devotee situated on the intermediate level, but only one who is in the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and of whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is constantly dancing in his heart. Only such a person can understand what is the heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Chaitanya Manobhishta, or the heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, is tasting the sweetness of the poison of separation from Krishna. It's simultaneously poisonous and sweet. And no one can ascertain which is greater, the poisonous or the sweet, but the sweetness actually, the madhurya rasa, we say madhurya. It's very sweet, so the remembrance of that sweetness becomes even more intense. So that is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew his own heart, and only one other, Swarup Damodar Goswami, whose his body, mind and soul were non-different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he understood exactly what was in his heart, and therefore Swarup Damodar was able to comfort Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his long nights, in which each moment was like 12 years or more. But Swarup Damodar, by singing relevant verses from various compositions, especially Jaydev's Gita Govinda, Chandidas, Vidyapati, Rai Ramananda's Jagannath Vallabh Nartak. So he was able to complement the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the verge of total collapse, then Swarup Damodar would revive him, or sometimes he would deliberately lessen the mood because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was going to pieces. But all this was very secret. This was going on in the Gambhira, mostly in the Gambhira, the private room of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at night. But Rupa Goswami broadcast this to the world through his writings, which was actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that also. He came. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Manobhishta, his desire, his inner heart's desire, was broadcast to the world by Rupa Goswami and by later Acaryas, including of course Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Of course not everyone can understand this. This is one of the is it ironic or esoteric points of Shastra, that even if it's written directly, not everyone can understand what it is. The Shastra is not like a school book or a teach yourself. Just like I confiscated a book from someone's home the other day. Teach yourself Hinduism. I mean, the title itself is ridiculous. Do it yourself Hindu. Convert yourself into a Hindu. So there's no such thing as teach yourself Gauriya Siddhanta or teach yourself Shastra. There's no such thing. Shastra is given. It's often not even presented systematically, which may bewilder the... Actually, their system is there, but not in the way that the empiric scholars think that it should be. It's not meant for them. It's not meant for empiric understanding. Ved Shastra is meant for awakening the heart's propensity to love Krishna. So, ahereva gating prena, the love for Krishna it's not straightforward. Of course we have ado, shraddha, tata, sadhu, sangha, atat, bhajana, kriya. There's a gradual progression. But how that is awakened, that is unpredictable. Can't say exactly. The movements of a snake, it doesn't move straightforwardly, but it moves like this. You have snakes here? Southern California, see lots of snakes. I would think so. It's a snakish kind of climate. Seems to be. Now, I mean, the ones that crawl on the ground. You have those also? All right. Ones with legs and ones without. So, Shastra, everything is given there, but even it's so straightforward. You put it in front of the face, still people can't understand if they don't have the qualification to understand. And the qualification is not by amassing loads of information, even if it's good information, but by service attitude and under the guidance of the Acaryas. So Rupa Goswami revealed this to the world in his writings, and writings means then also he trained, especially Jiva Goswami, and then Jiva Goswami sent out Srinivas Shamananda Narottam to teach this to the world. So these two Acharya and Shastra, they reveal Krishna. Acharyas simply follow Shastra, but for the Acharyas, Shastra isn't necessary because they're all Shastra is not necessary in the sense that they are not sadhaks, they are nitya siddha. They're eternal associates of Krishna, come to this world to reveal Krishna to us. So they don't need Shastra for their elucidation. They already understand the purport. For them it's not a matter of understanding. It's just like you don't have to go to biology class to learn how to breathe. You can in biology class you can learn what is the process of breathing and what's going on in the body takes in oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide, and what is the air, so many things can be studied about breathing, but you don't have to go to biology class to learn to breathe. So similarly for the Acharyas, they don't have to learn how to, actually there's no such thing as learning how to love Krishna, but to awaken that. So the Acharyas, they don't learn or they don't take to Krishna consciousness. They're already perfectly situated in Krishna consciousness. And although it may appear, just like for instance, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was taught Bhakti Siddhanta by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So that's true in one sense, but in another sense he's already eternally perfect. It may appear that Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the early part of his life was a conditioned soul who didn't know very much about Krishna consciousness and later came in contact with it and was charmed by it and took it up. But we should understand that these temporary displays of apparent non-Krishna consciousness have nothing to do with his. Actually, that's true even of the conditioned souls. It has nothing to do with their actual status of being eternally Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Shadda Kabunai Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Kariyodai. It has nothing to do with their eternal status of being pure devotees of Krishna. But for the great Acharyas, we can understand that the temporary appearance in their lives of what apparently is materialistic propensities or even grossly materialistic propensities, that can be understood to be simply some display arranged by the Leela Shakti of the Lord, because after their apparent coming to Krishna consciousness, what contributions they make. The contributions of Bhaktivinoda Thakur are unparalleled. Even we have the names of so many Acharyas here, but what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given to the world is immeasurable. So I was saying Sri Caitanya Manobhishtam, so that's generally understood as Rupa Goswami. He revealed the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his heart's desire. But there's another heart's desire. Prithivite ache jatanagara gram sabhata pracha hoibe moranam, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at least I'm not sure about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he regularly quoted this verse that Krishna consciousness should be preached in every town and village of the world, and cited it as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart's desire. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that. He wanted that. So these great acharyas have come to teach what is Krishna consciousness. Here in this song, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes, Parampara jano bhalomate. You should know well what is parampara. What is the principle of parampara? Who are the members of the parampara? What do they teach? What are their activities, their pastimes? So to understand this it's again, just to understand all of this, it's it's a great challenge to say that we should understand parampara, because what are the teachings of the parampara? If we're to understand, that means what is it? That Brahma janati Brahmaiva bhavati. That if one, to know the absolute truth means that one comes to the spiritual platform. One has to come to the spiritual platform to understand this. No one can understand the Acaryas by any other method than that of total submission to their message and serving their mission. The academic attempts to understand are wholly insufficient. It's not that scholars who study without surrender, without the service mood, that they can partially understand. Even they may amass information, but they cannot even slightly understand, and that they do not even slightly understand is apparent in their lack of desire to surrender. So from the very beginning, they make a great mistake at the very beginning, and they compound that mistake by trying to amass information and thinking that we can understand without surrendering, without taking up the process. Or even if one takes up the process of Krishna consciousness under the guidance of the Acaryas, but retains this kind of attitude that we can understand simply by amassing information, that also will be insufficient. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't study and try to? No, parampara jano bhalamati. We should try to understand, but at the same time, try to understand means the Acaryas have given us their teachings. So they didn't write so many books and give so many teachings just as a kind of intellectual exercise to pass their time pass. But they did so, they with the sense that these teachings are required for the world, or at least for the people of the world who are intelligent enough to take them up. So, those teachings are to be accepted, but at the same time it has to be understood how they are to be accepted, the attitude. And what is that attitude? Mahavakya. Shankaracharya has given what he considers Mahavakyas. Tattvamasi. That's famous. Then what else? Soham. Advitiya. What is that? Dull brain. Well, that's something he made up. But from the Shastra, from the Upanishads he gave. Pragyanam Brahma is another one. So, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized 4 Mahavakyas. Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishna, Amanina, Manadena. These are the 4. These are the essence of all the Shastra, through which the Shastra is to be understood. He said that this is the Diksha mantra. Esoteric mantra. Highly esoteric. It's publicly available, but highly esoteric. Because unless one is actually initiated, which means not necessarily sitting in a formal ceremony, but initiated in the heart, having accepted actual surrender to the Acaryas and the Parampara, then this Trinadapi Sunichena, at best it will remain a formula. This is the esoteric information. Nowadays there's, by the grace of Raspi Hari Lal and others, there's much esoteric information being broadcast throughout the world. But first, this teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this should be considered and made one with the heart, Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnana, amanira manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Then, when we have got some understanding of this, and understanding of this will not come by any other method but begging at the lotus feet of the Acaryas to bless us with that mood and understanding, and hearing from them and again, you're not this body, you're eternal spirit soul, we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are only meant for serving Krishna. Then, when our dull intelligence begins to accept this, then with this kind of kirtan, kirtaniya sadaharihi, then this kind of chanting will reveal to us the adhika, or the eligibility for entering into jaiva dharma, the actual propensity and necessity of the jiva to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So these topics, they're constantly being repeated in various ways by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I wanted to say about that book that last year I was saying I'd bring it next year, so I certainly hope that next year I'll be able to bring it, although I don't know, because I always think it's almost finished, but there's always more to do. But it appears as if it's finished now, and there's I don't foresee any major research more to be done, because in the last couple of years I had access, or guided access, to the old magazines, the Gauriya magazines. Although Nadia Prakash I haven't been through, but the main articles are in the Gauriya anyway. So there doesn't appear to be more to do, but it's a matter of finishing. Just like when you build a house, the structure goes up and you think it's almost finished. But then the finishing takes at least as much time as digging the foundation and building the superstructure. That means putting in the electricity, water, plaster, different fittings, windows. It takes as much time. But anyway, it appears to be more or less done. And I'm not rushing it. I'm taking care to try and do it nicely, because it's meant for glorification of this great Acharya. What word is there? What words can we use? I say great Acharya, sir. We've heard the term so many times, we tend to take it quite, what's the word, in a familiar manner. Anyway, I put lots of quotes from his writings and his words in there, so devotees can judge for themselves. When I'm reading his works, I feel like I'm standing at the bottom of a great mountain looking up. So great. And Prabhupada's gift is that he took us by the hand and led us through that. He made it very, very easy and available. And sometimes some people think that because of that, Prabhupada was teaching on a lower level. That's not the fact. The fact is that we're on the lower level, and Prabhupada took us, and he took us, and he's taking us. So actually, if we are to appreciate the previous Acaryas, if we actually appreciate them, then our appreciation of Prabhupada can only increase, that he has given that which the previous Acaryas have given us. But if we have a mundane outlook, then we'll think that the previous Acaryas were greater and Prabhupada is less. You're trying to judge in some kind of materially contaminated manner. For that matter, Narottam Das's teachings were very simply given. The language is very simple. Although his Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his songs, very simple, but the language is very simple. Anyone can understand. Anyone who understands simple Bengali can understand. It's not. His songs are in very simple language, but the purport is so deep that it can serve to transport us to that existence in which he constantly exists. The Acaryas, they don't live in this world. They're not part of this world. To think of Bhaktivinoda Thakur as a citizen of Calcutta or some such mundane perspective is incorrect, because he is eternally a citizen of the spiritual world. He himself said that Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj would send people to Calcutta, tell Bhaktivinoda Prabhu to come and join me in Mayapur. Why is he staying in that? Maya Brahmanda, the world of Maya, means Calcutta. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent a message back saying that, conveying his blessings to Babaji Maharaj. That's interesting, isn't it? Because Babaji Maharaj is Babaji and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a householder. So how is he to bless a renunciate? But on the spiritual platform, they're situated as in guru-disciple relationship. So I sent his blessings back with a message to inform Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj that where I live is not the material world. He's living in a house in Calcutta with his family members, engaged in government service. So he appears to be like a materialistic person, but where he is, Jedina grihe bhajana deki grihete goloka bhai. By performing his daily puja, he sees his whole house as Golok Vrindavan. Amishananda Shukadabashi Shiradhika Madhava Charanadasi. When we go to Mayapur Dham, we see the trees and the houses and people going past on bicycles. At that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, there would have been very few bicycles, if any. The little train that was arranged by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that narrow gauge railway which comes just past his house. So we see all these things, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sees him, he's sitting in his house. He sees, I am a servant of Radhika Madhava. So the vision is they're quite different to our vision, how they see. So taking shelter of the Acaryas means to learn to see how they see. Starva jangam deke na deke tar murti savatra hoita ishtadeva swarti. When they see everything moving and non-moving, they don't exactly see that. Well, they see that, but they see everywhere Krishna, their worshipable Lord, manifest. So they may see, well, that's some kind of esoteric vision, unreal vision, but that is reality. What this word esoteric, that is a word to be used from our platform of vision, because we don't see what is to be seen. Therefore we consider what the Acaryas teach us to be esoteric. But it's only esoteric because of our blindness. Just like in a place where all the people are blind, someone who can see is considered, among the blind people who have faith that there is such a thing as vision, the person with vision is considered something very special. Although many of them may not believe that there is even such a thing as a sense of sight. Can you prove it? I mean, there are so many people, we're all living here, and none of us can see what you're talking about seeing. So we think it's just your imagination. Can you prove there is such a thing as seeing? Among the blind people, the sense of sight is mythology. And if they demand, prove it, there's no way you can prove to them, because their sense of sight is non-existent. So they could see, maybe if they have cataracts or so, to be removed or some kind of operation, then they could see. But in their present state, if they demand to see, we shall not believe in seeing unless you show it, then how will they see? It is not demonstratable to them. So in the same way, we are blind to spiritual, the whole material world, everyone is blind to that which should actually be seen, which are the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But we cannot see, as Srila Prabhupada said, there's that conversation in Los Angeles. People say, show me God. Prabhupada said, you bring them to me. You cannot see. They have cataracts on their eyes. You bring them to me, I will do an operation. I will give them the power to see. So it may seem to us that what the Acaryas are speaking of is esoteric, but actually it's just normal from the point of view of the spiritual world, which is the real world. But in this material world, we cannot see, and we take that to be normal. And therefore we talk of the information that the Acaryas give as esoteric, although it's actually the dharma of the jiva to serve Krishna. But we are so far removed from that we think it to be something unusual or impossible. Very high it is, there's no doubt. Very high it is. But then the jiva is also meant to be high. The jiva is meant to be at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's the highest one, that's a very high position. But due to our perverted mentality, we want to dance on the head of Krishna. And Krishna doesn't agree. Krishna gives us this material world to dance in. And we think, I am dancing. But Ekali Ishwara Krishna ar samprita jare joiche nache tare toiche karinrita. We think we are dancing independently, but Krishna is the only supreme controller. And all others are his servants. And as he makes them dance, thus they are forced to dance. So, like I said, I'm writing this book about... I'm writing this book means... I don't know. It's going on. Somehow I'm engaged in this service. I can't say I'm writing just like someone. I'm writing a book. It's my ideas. Someone makes a novel, Harry Potter. So it's all their ideas and their imagination. But even that's not theirs. That's also inspired by the heart, by the super soul. But so I can't say I'm writing a book as if it's my creation, I have created, but rather engaged in this awesome service. This word awesome has become unawesome by being used so much by people in America. But if we actually consider the import, then it is an awesome service to be engaged in the service of the Acaryas, to sweep the floor of Krishna's temple. It's an ordinary service. Who will do that? There's nothing ordinary. Everything is extraordinary. The only extraordinary thing about us sweeping the floor of Krishna's temple is that we're able to do so, because actually we should faint while doing so. If we consider what is the opportunity to serve Krishna, we should not be able to maintain consciousness, considering how merciful is Krishna to allow us to be engaged in this service. So the only, or the most awesome thing about it is that we're able to do so without fainting. That's either due to the Yogamaya Shakti of the Lord, which keeps the whole spiritual world moving on. Otherwise everyone would just be fainted all the time. There wouldn't be any pastimes, because as soon as everyone considers this is Krishna, then immediately everyone faints. So there can't be any pastimes unless the devotees think of Krishna as being in some way ordinary. Or the Mahamaya potency makes us think that, oh, this is so dull and miserable and boring. We don't have proper perception of it. So, all right, well, there's a whole book coming, and then there should be millions of books. All right, I'll finish there. What's going on?
It's a pulsar from my liver out.
Your liver?
Liver, yeah.
Oh, I have liver problems here too, even non-alcoholics.
It's a virus.
Oh,
Just the alcoholic have it worse. They have double trouble.
how do you get that virus? From eating in restaurants or what?
You know, all food, blood transfusions, bad stuff.
Oh, blood transfusion is very dangerous. Oh, Hep C?
Yeah.
Oh! Hare Krishna, it was nice knowing you.
Well, maybe I'll die with it, not from it.
Anyway, save a place for us up there. But you never know who's going first. Just like Tamal Krishna Maharaj said too. Mahavishnu Goswami, when he had a stroke in London, Mahavishnu Goswami had a stroke. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said to him, well, save a place for me up there. And Mahavishnu Maharaj said to him, we don't know who's going first. It looked like Mahavishnu Maharaj was going, but he's still around. He's still with us on this platform, whereas Tamal Krishna Maharaj isn't. So you never know.
Maybe I'll be here a few more years.
You never know. You never know.